It's
Platanus. Occidentalis. American. Sycamore. This photo of my sister and I about the age I first remember the big sycamore. This is also about the time I first saw Susie. Although, it would be many years later in my journey before I found that out. Looking out the front window of my house on a cold winter's day, I watched Susie and her sisters ice skating on the farm pond across the road. The big sycamore was near my father's childhood home, in the beautiful mountains of West Virginia, and about an 8-hour car ride from our house. When we were in the neighborhood, we often visited this 500-year-old legendary tree. As my journey continued, I would visit the big sycamore from time to time. The tree was massive, approximately 112 feet tall, with a circumference of over 25 feet. Of particular interest, an eastern hemlock grew to over 5 feet tall in a rotted knothole many feet from the ground. Sadly, the tree was felled in 2010, after arson had damaged the giant in 2007, and it was determined unsafe. I stumbled across a 10-foot-tall sycamore, destined for death, by construction equipment. I brought the tree home and healed it in for the winter in my garden. Although not a favored bonsai species due to leaf size, I was determined to have a sycamore on my bench to remind me of the big sycamore. Steve Gossett, at Mountain Spring Bonsai and Ceramics, made this beautiful pot. The glaze screened out to me, and I was able to plant the sycamore straight into the pot. Anxiously I watched this tree as the leaves grew. It wasn't long before I learned of the dangers of a top-heavy tree in a pot. I discovered the tree blown off of its stand and most of the soil on the ground. Emergency repot and all of the leaves shed. I was anxious to see if I would get a second flush of foliage. The tree recovered and the second flush was indeed smaller. Pro tip: always tie your trees to the pot and to the bench. I always admired this local sycamore. Let's go have a look at the characteristics.
Hello everybody, let's take a look at the American sycamore. This is a specimen tree out in the middle of a field. I pass on my way to the dump to get rid of my trash, and I thought maybe you'd like to take a look at it with me. Here we go. It's not an overly large tree, but the branches have definite curve to them, nice shape. And I think it's representative of what the American sycamore looks like. Let's get a closer look at the trunk. The tree looks like it has about a 4-foot diameter trunk. I don't have a tape, I'm not going to measure it, but take my word, it's close to 4 foot anyway. Going up the trunk, we see the characteristics of the sycamore. The bark that peels off and looks bare, naked white. Boy Scout leaders, one in particular, taught my young son that a sycamore tree looks like it's sick, and that's how you can identify it. What a glorious tree.